a lot of retirement income is labeled dividends, interest, and rent, because if you have a private pension from a company you work for, or you have investments in a mutual fund, etc., the payments you're receiving are coming from investment income, and it gets listed there. The other big chunk of non-employment income is payments the federal government makes to individuals. A big chunk of those are retirement related. Social Security payments, Medicare reimbursements, veterans retirement benefits, disability benefits, veterans medical payments. Although some of it's income support, unemployment compensation, food stamps, what we used to call welfare. But the bulk of it is Social Security and retirement related. The blue line shows all of that non-employment income. Notice it just rising rapidly, on a totally different trajectory than that traditional economic base. The retirement-related part is smaller, but also rising in a very impressive way, 2 or 3 times larger than that economic base. The reason for emphasizing this again is that income is tied to people who are pretty free to make choices as to where they would like to live. And that income then follows them and has an impact in the community. Amenities, both social, environmental, recreational, etc., are extremely important in people making those location decisions. So the question is, given this emphasis that local economic development people have placed on local amenities and the importance of building on the strengths that the greater Tucson area has in terms of recreational landscape, scenic beauty, wildlife, etc. Given that, how does the proposed mine fit in? This is just a smaller version of the big picture that you see over there. Just pardon me for a minute. As I think many of you know, the open pit is going to rise up to up to the ridge line here, and then waste rock spoils are going to fill in the rest of what we see in the Rosemont Valley here. Waste piles 500 feet or more high, towering over the area. From my point of view, have some experience with mountaintop removal in Appalachia. When I saw this area and looked at the sketches of what was being proposed, it sounded very much to me like mountaintop removal, in the sense of moving an enormous amount of material and simply dumping it into a valley and flattening that valley out. Go ahead. One of the things that the greater Tucson area has been doing in cooperation with federal agencies is trying to protect the unique aspect of the greater Tucson area. The gray up here is the urbanized area of Tucson. One of the very unusual aspects of the greater Tucson area is that it's almost entirely surrounded by public land, and much of that public land permanently protected land. And both the city of Tucson and Pima County have been investing in funds to try and increase the amount of land that's protected, so that the open space that has characterized the greater Tucson area, the access to open space that has characterized the area, is maintained and enhanced A lot of this land, of course, is Forest Service land. Some of it's protected as wilderness. Some of it's state land. Some of it's wildlife refuges or experimental wildlife land. Some of it's ranch land with easements on it to prevent residential development on it. And what's at the center of this, that's the way it was drawn, these are 5-mile increments moving away from the Rosemont mine. So right in the center of these protected public lands, right in the center of this treasure that economic development folks have been focused on, that the Forest Service in developing its new plan for its forest is focused on managing that forest as the backdrop against which folks like you who live in the greater Tucson area live their lives. That provides the scenic beauty, that provides the recreational opportunities, provides the water, the wildlife habitat, etc. That's the focus of management for amenities associated with that forest. That's what local governments have been trying to manage and enhance this land for, but we're dropping into it, or what's being proposed to be dropped into it, is an open pit mine and extensive waste rock and tailing rocks. This is just Rosemont's sketch of the open pit, extremely deep. The tailing waste pile, 500 feet high, and the waste rock. Do I have these reversed? No. And the waste rock pile. Here's the scenic highway going by to this view. Next. Just to give you a feeling for the scale here, of course these are sections lined here, so these are square miles. Each one of these segments is a mile. So you can get a feeling for how extensive this is. What I've added here is little rectangles that represent the size of the reflecting pool in the Capitol Mall in Washington, D.C. I suspect lots of you have visited the mall, and you look at this thing that seems to stretch forever. It takes 9 of them to stretch across the mine site. Next.